What the hell is going on in San Francisco? Seriously. It's literally lights out. We're gonna find out what's going on. I'm gonna update you on it. Your travel may be stagnated or shall we say postponed or either delayed. The worstest thing you wanna think of is see, especially if you're going to San Francisco. Come on, we're gonna check it out.
Has been restored to roughly 100,000 people in San Francisco after PG&E says the city went dark yesterday morning, but the impacts only grew from there. This is a look at the PG&E outage map right now, and nearly 20,000 people are still without power. Tom Jensen has the very latest.
It was lights out from the Presidio through Soma and across numerous neighborhoods in between. All on one of the busiest weekends of the holiday season, the last weekend before Christmas.
There was street lamps that were out. The traffic was atrocious, and we're like, oh my God. And when we find out later and later, most of the things that we planned were canceled.
John's Grill in the downtown corridor was one of the businesses that avoided the power outage that impacted some 130,000 customers starting after 1 this afternoon. So when the lights went out for all the nearby theaters and shopping centers like Union Square, lots of people headed there for refuge.
As soon as all the electricity went down, we got so many phone calls immediately. Do you guys have power? Can we come? And it was just like a horde of people.
And they were so accommodating for us, a group of 5 here, and just a night out in the city, a girls' night, and John saved us. Really.
PG&E told us the outage started after a substation started on fire at 8th and Mission, but they're not sure of the cause.
We are on the scene working very closely with first responders as well as the city officials.
A spokesperson for San Francisco Fire said there were PG&E employees at the substation when they arrived on the scene, and they ordered the power to be shut down for the safety of firefighters as they battled the flames.
What was that helped suppress the fire in the area, and what we're doing now is we're working with PG&E to remove all the smoke and carbon monoxide to allow PG&E employees to go in there and remove some of the items that need to be replaced.
Right now our focus is on restoring our customers safely and as quickly as possible, and we're going to keep you posted as we know more.
And that was Tom Jensen reporting. Now,
If you're in the San Francisco area, these are some things you need to look out for, because Saturday it was very hectic. I mean, they had a blackout, and that blackout, it affected travel, tourists, even the people that live there. So be aware. Let's take a look at this clip, and we can sort of get an idea just how bad it was.
In San Francisco, where more than 100,000 PG&E customers are in the dark as crews struggle to find and fix a massive power outage coming as holiday travelers and revelers descend on the city. Here's a look at the PG&E outage map right now. You can see a red section covering what looks to be about a quarter of the city. That includes the Powell and Civic Center BART station. Now, all this happening on a very busy weekend for the city, people flocking to the city for last-minute shopping or other holiday events. We are told traffic is one of the many things significantly impacted by this outage. NBC Bay Area's Tom Jensen is live in the city tracking the latest. And Tom, I understand you have news on what caused all this.
Good evening. Yes, Garvin, they believe it is linked to a fire here in the Soma at 8th and Mission, a PG&E substation. We're hoping to get some definitive answers here. We talked to a PG&E spokesperson just a few minutes ago. She's trying to get some answers as well. Firefighters are still on the scene investigating. However, they do believe that this widespread outage, reported 130,000 customers at one point, was linked to this fire in the Soma neighborhood. At last report, the company did not have an estimated restoration time. They told us that was still the same just a couple minutes ago. Outages occurred here in the Sunset, Richmond, Presidio, Tenderloin, and the Mission, among other districts. It caused severe transit outages, including complete shutdown of Bart's Powell, Civic Center, and Van Ness stations. A spokesperson for San Francisco Fire said investigators are trying to determine the cause of the fire after firefighters knocked down the flames a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, after 2 p.m. this afternoon, we got a 911 call from employees of PG&E here at 8th and Mission Street for a report of a fire. When our units arrived on scene, we were met by PG&E employees warning us of a fire indoors of their PG&E substation.
Okay, we need to boil down exactly what happened. A fire broke out inside a PG&E electrical substation. All right, this substation was near 8th and Mission Street. It was on a Saturday, which was yesterday. It caused significant damage to equipment and disrupted service across large parts of San Francisco. All right, this damage led to a major blackout. It affected homes, businesses, particularly in the neighborhood like the Richmond district, Presidio, Sunset, and parts of downtown San Francisco. The Chronicles reported that the outage began midday and spread it through the grid as systems attempted to isolate the damaged equipment. Well, the impact, about 1/3 of the city's utility customers lost power at the peak of the outage. So the San Francisco Chronicles reported that PG&E crews worked through the weekend and restored power to most customers by Sunday. All right, though thousands were still without electricity as repairs continue, full restoration was expected by Monday afternoon, mind you. All right, so the details still is under review. While the fire at the substation is central to the cause, PG&E and the fire officials had not immediately announced that the start of the fire, such as the mechanical failure or other triggers, as of latest report. Well, New York Post, they reported the following. They said that the power outage is accurate and that is ongoing. So I think they're pretty accurate. So and a reliable source. So we're going to see what they got to say in that clip. But they have to restore this power quickly. New York is big. San Francisco is big. Miami is big. That is a major city. So they need to get the power up. Let's see what New York Post is reporting. Can you imagine this? A massive San Francisco power outage leave 130,000 in the dark. It was so bad. Self-driving cars have stalled. So, if you're traveling to San Francisco, be aware. You heard it from MenView first. You may have to reconsider your travels. Think about we don't even know if the subways are working. We don't know how the regular buses and transit system is working. That could be down. So we want to try to find out what the heck is going on. Well, transportation is a main concern, especially when you're talking about going from your airplane when you arrive in the airport and then your ground transportation. So riding services, traditional ride hauling can still operate, but operational traffic chaos, signal issues, was slowing down pickups, takeoffs in affected areas. San Francisco International Airport and other Bay Area airports are on independent power. In other words, generators. Systems have not been reported and disrupted by outages itself, but routine operations generally continue even when local grid issues was occurring. So on the travel guidance aspect, you should avoid non-essential travel during peak hour outages. The NBC Bay Area, they reported that plan extra time for getting around the city if you must by car or transit. Use caution at intersections where traffic lights are out. Expect some delays on buses, transits, and ride haul services. So, what's changing now? Currently, as of the latest updates, power is being restored to the vast majority of customers, and most transit services are returning to normal operation with some residual delays, which is expected. So, the NBC Bay Area is reporting that the outage caused temporarily disruptions to traffic signals, public transit, and anonymous transit services that directly impacted travel around the city. Most of these issues are improving now that power is returning. But if you're traveling today or tonight, expect delays, stop and go traffic, and possible transit schedule changes, especially previously detained neighborhoods. So, if you're planning a specific trip, like to the airport, a hotel, or tourist site, I just give you I can give you more tailored advice on optimal routes in current conditions, but at this point, we'll continue on. But just look out, be aware that we have some issues with power outages in San Francisco. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to Venezuela. What is going on in Venezuela? We're going to talk about it. This just didn't pop up out of nowhere, because local officials are calling for public hearings on the incidents because of multiple outages that occurred this month and communications issues during the event. So this is not anything new. This has occurred throughout the month. I mean, this is like, I mean, even Q KQED reported that, and let's talk about the city impact. All right, the outage disrupted critical infrastructure, which includes traffic signals, transit services, municipal offices, and business across the city. Now, if you don't think that's not going to have an effect on the airport, you need to think twice. So, we have had residents that express frustration with communication from the PG&E officials. San Francisco Chronicles reported that. San Francisco may not be the place to be celebrating your Christmas in. Okay, let's just say it's a fluke. I'm going to show you how this is like a disease. It's almost that you can't travel no more. You can't go to places you want to go. It's almost like airlines may be a problem. I guess the question is the United States about to feel the India effect? And when I say effect, these people are frustrated, mad, angry about what's going on in the government and the impact on the airline. So I hope, I pray, but we need to be open minded. Is this about to happen to the United States? Wow. San Francisco may look like, hey man, compared to India, shoot, Indian Airlines and their air traffic, I think I might want to be in San Francisco issue. Check it out.
What looked like a bad week for India's largest airline, Indigo, could actually be something deeper. It was a display of how fragile India's aviation system has become.
You don't give us a resolution now. Enough is enough. Please give us
A sector dominated by a duopoly and stretched capacity was always vulnerable, and now the fallout is in front of all of us. India's skies rely heavily on just two airlines, Indigo and Air India. When the largest player, with nearly 60% market share, hits turbulence, the system falters. The opposition views this aviation disaster as the cost of a match-fixing monopoly model. Congress says the crisis exposes a duopolistic market where most things belong to a few, a model unhealthy for both economy and democracy.
We all know that throughout the country, most things belong to only few people, and that is the doing of this government. And that is not healthy. It's not healthy for the economy, it's not healthy for democracy, it's not healthy for the country.
सैकड़ों हजारों फ्लाइट्स कैंसिल हो रही हैं, एयरपोर्ट्स पे अफरा तफरी मची हुई है, लोग परेशान हो रहे हैं, मरीज जाना चाह रहे हैं, वो नहीं जा पा रहे, लोगों वाकई त्राही त्राही मची हुई। 92% जो एयरलाइंस का शेयर है ये दो प्राइवेट कंपनीज के पास है, इंडिगो और टाटा। उसमें से 64% इंडिगो के पास है। आपने एकाधिकार तो बनने दिया ना, तो अब क्या कर रहे हैं आप बताइए, सॉल्यूशन दीजिए।
On the ground, chaos continues. And while the Civil Aviation Minister insists that lessons will be taken from this fiasco through a high-profile inquiry,
so we have established a committee which will inquire into all this so that they can establish where things went wrong and who did it wrong. We are taking strict action on this so that whoever was responsible into this needs to pay for it.
experts say India needs a deeper fix. Reduce dependence on just one or two airlines, expand regional capacity, enforce safety and duty norms, and ensure airlines communicate clearly with the passengers.
Well, I must admit, that is the good part about San Francisco, is that the lights are back on. And there are still people without power, but they are gradually working to get the power up. So we're about to move on to what I call the bad and the ugly. So you had the good, moving on to the bad, and we're going to have to deal with the ugly. Okay, so what's going on with the Caribbeans? What does that... Okay, let's just say that Venezuela. Okay. Venezuela is in the Caribbean. So what does that have to do with your travel? You need to think real careful. You in close proximity, you have Trinidad. Even though they saying that the drug boats and all the blowing up going on, it only has to do with drug traffic in the maritime. So in my mind thought, I'm thinking, okay, a boat, a ship can just sail on through, glide on through, you know. But mind you, oil rig can't. So you need to think about if you want to start traveling in that area. So I did some research and I was looking at radius. I was looking at, okay, let's say it was 25 miles out. How close would that be to if I wanted to go to Trinidad? Interesting. So I did my research and I found out, well, dang, that's 7 miles, y'all. A whole lot of stuff can go down in 7 miles, mind you.
Of concern now expanding to more than 30 nations. The Department of Homeland Security releasing the new number. There are currently 19 countries on the ban list, including Afghanistan, Venezuela, and Iran. Secretary Kristi Noem has yet to comment on the specific countries that have been added, but she did say this in an interview earlier this week.
And the president is continuing to evaluate countries. Listen, if they don't have a stable government there, if they don't have a country that can sustain itself and tell us who those individuals are and help us vet them, why should we allow people from that country to come here to the United States?
Venezuela has more than 2,800 kilometers, which is equivalent to 1,740 miles of Caribbean coastline. Imagine that. Imagine the borders. So, nearby islands like Trinidad, Tobago, Aruba, and Caracal they are extremely close. For example, Venezuela to Trinidad is 11 kilometers, approximately 7 miles. So, and then from Venezuela to Aruba, it's 27 kilometers, 17 miles. So if you're traveling to either one of those islands, you have to be, what can I say? You should be focused. You should be, your mindset should be in the safe mode. So if we go from Venezuela to Caracal, we're talking about 70 kilometers, just 45, well, just actually is approximately 43 miles. So Venezuela is part of the Caribbean region, and that's geographically. The Bahamas is much further in the Atlantic Caribbean region. It's not as vulnerable, shall I say. So the approximate distance, direct distance, is like from Venezuela to the Bahamas. We're talking about 1,700 to 2,000 kilometers, which is approximately 1,050 to 1,250 miles. And that's depending on which Bahamian island you're measuring to. So, all right, let's just say we're going to talk about ports. From the Bahamas, it's like 1,700 to 2,000 kilometers, and it's 1,050 to 200, 1,000 to 250 miles. And that depends on, again, the island you're measuring to. So we said from Caracas, let's just say from Caracas to Nassau, that's like 1,900 kilometers, which is equivalent to 1,180 miles. There are no direct flights. Again, note this. There are no direct flights. So travelers usually connect through Panama, Miami. The low risk level 1 areas in the Caribbean travel is Barbados, Cayman Islands, Bermuda, Antigua, St. Kitts, and Grenada. So don't look at this impact zone as if everything is off limits and you shouldn't travel. So for now, your safe zones is Barbados, the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, Antigua, St. Kitts, and Grenada. And it may be areas closer to these level 1s that I have not mentioned. But if you continue to watch my MenView show, you'll know the updates. You'll know where you shouldn't be traveling. You'll know your caution zones. You'll know what levels, where you shouldn't go in the proximity. If you do go, you need to be aware of what's going on